And at the end of the day, if you don't get anything out of this episode, do remember this. Before we multiply, we have to simplify.
Hi, I'm Michelle Bosch, real estate investor, mom, wife, and host of the InFLOW podcast. And I'm passionate about helping women invest in land and apartments. Join me each and every week for real estate investing strategies and interviews with thought leaders that will leave you inspired and ready to step into flow for inflows of cash, inflows of ease, and inflows of grace in your life. Now, here on YouTube are the video versions of my podcast, and in order for you to get my latest information, please go ahead and subscribe. And now, let's go.
Welcome to the InFLOW podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Bosch. Excited to be here with you guys on the last week of 2019. I am excited about today's episode because, especially on this week when we're finalizing 2019, it is very, very, very important to do some necessary breakups, some necessary cleanups before we head into 2020. I know everyone is talking about, oh my gosh, we need to be ready for 2020. You know, luck comes to those that are prepared to take opportunities. And in order for us to be prepared, to take opportunities and be ready to hit the ground running when 2020 comes around the corner, we're just a few days away from it. I want to say that it's sometimes not just a matter of adding things into our life in order for us to be ready for new opportunities to arrive. But sometimes in order for us to find success, we don't need to add more things, but we actually need to subtract some things, So it's like almost like multiplying, simplifying first in order to be able to multiply, yeah? And so what I wanted to talk to you today in today's episode is about a simple tool that we use almost every quarter, and we certainly use it, at the end of Q4 and at the end of a year, and that is called a stop doing list. We like creating a stop doing list that helps us really prune back on anything that has gotten on our plates, on any messes that we have created over the year. And in order for us to basically move forward, this is the tool that we use to create the space, create a clean slate for us to move forward into a new vision, into a new year, yeah? And so if you think about it, our time and how we talk about time is linear. And there's things that, happen in the past that, believe it or not, affect your future vision and your ability to take, on opportunities and seize opportunities in the future. There's also things about the future, which is what we're living right now, that we also need to address in order for us to move into the future. And I like to think about things about the past as opportunities for us to clean up. A stop doing list that we do every quarter and at the end of every year, and we start with the past. What do we need to clean up? What do we need to clean up in our house, in our physical surrounding and space? Is there any clutter, around your workspace, your life at home? Do we need to clean that up first in order for us, to have a clean start and a clean beginning? And I cannot emphasize how important it is, or at least for me, and I don't know if you're the same, how the environment and cleaning up your environment and making sure that you're in a clean, decluttered office space, decluttered desk, and so on and so forth. So the very first thing I look up is physical space. What in my physical environment and space do I need to clean up? What are some tolerations in my physical space that I need to clean up? Is it, it goes down to even like cracked glasses, cups, plates, like no tolerations of any kind. I want to start the year with clean things, with everything in working order. So I look at, from my physical standpoint, physical space standpoint, what do I need to clean up in my life? The next thing that I like looking at is people. Are there people, are there any breakups that I have been dreading this year? And that I should, go ahead and move forward with in order for me to create space and a clean slate, to really not have anything that is heavy, pushing me down and have the burden of that extra weight coming with me. And so when it comes to, Circle of friends, acquaintances, partnerships. Maybe it's maybe it's an abusive relationship that you have been in, right now. It could be a number of things when it comes to relationships. It could be it could be, what messes do I need to clean up in terms of parenting? Have I been not so kind, to my kids? Do I need to make amends? Do I need to apologize for certain things? Do I need to, create a fresh new start when it comes to relationships? So that is so important, to clean up as well any messes that are in the relationship department. Are there any things, that as a result of us investing, whether in land or in real estate, we run businesses. Are there any messes in our business as far as system processes that are right now creating, bottlenecks in our companies? Is there anything that I need to clean up, on that end as well? So there's a lot of cleanups, and those cleanups, like I said, is about things that have occurred to us and that are in the past, but that past for some reason is creating a heavy burden that we're bringing with us if we do not clean that up. So that would be my very first stop doing, is to go and look at my past, look into relationships, look into my, physical space, look into systems, processes, in my business that I need to clean up and bring into order. And whether it be me or it be someone in my team that is going to help me do that, because you are not supposed to do everything. You are supposed to have build a team around you, especially if you're an investor, that can help you, clean up some of those messes. So as far as the present, so moving along to the present, before starting anything into the future, I need to look at, what do I need to stop doing right now, that in order for me to realize the vision that I have for 2020 is bogging me down? Are there things on my plate that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, that are not part of my genius? There's this concept that we should be spending 80% of our time in activities that are in our genius, where we actually excel, where we have like a superior competency that we love, that we're passionate about doing. Those are things that are that are in your genius, where you have the skill set, you have a superior skill set, and you are amazing at it and you love doing those things. So things about the present that are in my physical space, in my calendar, or in my inventory of activities that I have to do on a weekly basis, but do not fall into the genius zone, are things that I usually write down, and I'm like, things that I need to stop doing and that I need to start delegating. So the past is about cleaning up messes. The present is about delegating things in order for me to have the space, the time, the headspace, the time in my schedule, and frankly, the energy and the effort to go after the things that I'm looking forward for 2020, and be ready, for opportunities and so on and so forth. Because if I don't do that, if I have a ton of things, projects, that are halfway done, and just involved in too many things that are eating up at my energy mentally, emotionally, physically, I'm just not going to be able to be there for the things that do show up, that require the best of me to show up, because I'm bogged down by things of the past and things of the present that perhaps somebody that is better, that has a superior skill and a superior competence than I do in certain activities should be doing. You know what I mean? So this is where you want to seek support, not just at work, but at home. Are there things that you're doing right now that are not revenue generating activities that you're doing right now, that are not part of your genius? My goodness, if you don't love laundry, perhaps you shouldn't be doing laundry. Perhaps you need someone to come and help you, 3-4 hours a week and get the laundry done, if you're a gal. at home, with something at home. Maybe, if you don't need to do it, maybe if you have to do it, I'm sorry, if you have to do it because you cannot outsource it, you cannot afford to outsource it, then perhaps what you need to do is you need to create a schedule to start freeing yourself up. Maybe every other week, somebody else in your family, takes over laundry, whatever it is, I'm just using an example at home of something that I absolutely do not like, and that is for sure not in my genius, because I end up shrinking, clothing and sweaters and things that I put on the dryer that I shouldn't, because that's just not my forte. In any case, so you then want to start looking into things, in your business that you can delegate, again, activities that you're doing over and over that perhaps you can hand over to somebody, giving them some parameters, and what success looks like in order for you to be able to delegate something successfully, an activity to somebody successfully. So, and sitting down with a person and training them and so on and so forth. So maybe right now, when it comes to the present, maybe there's some delegations that you can think of that you can start writing down on your stop doing list, for things that are of the present. So there's stop doing things of the past, there's stop, doing things of the present. And, you can start with your physical space all the way to, your schedule, your time, your energy and effort into activities that you're pouring in. It's just basically having some reflection time and looking at those buckets and really cleaning and clearing, things up in order for you to move forward. So now once we've done that, really, and we've, and we've looked at our physical space and delegations, I think the next level, at least for me, of things that I like to stop doing is I know that I have, and this is not easy, but I know that I have thoughts that are constantly coming back again into my mind that I know do not serve me well. And it's time, at least for me, to stop doing some of those thoughts, because we are doing them if you think about it, And so one of my, resolutions for 2020 is to be much, much more mindful and aware of certain defeating thoughts of doubt, of confusion, of fear, and come up with a strategy as to how can I, change either my physiology, my language, the meaning that I give to certain things in order for me to stop doing, some of those thoughts that are not helping me. Yeah. So, so that's another recommendation, to take it into a deeper level of the stop doing, of your stop doing list of past and present. And what you'll find is, and we've been doing this now, I've been doing this with my husband for almost 10 years now. And what I have found is that every single year, I have things that, have come into my schedule, have come into my plate. And the moment I clean them up, I have now a different, it's almost as if I've shifted, and I have put myself, just by doing that, halfway into the future vision that I have. And then the next step for me is like, oh my gosh, so I'm halfway there. So what is the next thing? And almost always for me, it is, because I'm an absolute life learner, it is about what new skill sets and capabilities do I need to gain in order for me to, achieve my goals for the coming year, for the vision that I have of the coming year. And it's usually about new capabilities, new things that I need to learn, new things that I need to master, new things that I need to, whether I feel ready or not, be brave about and go ahead and do them anyways, because the universe listens to brave, So, so it's, for me, like I said, I'm a life learner. So it's usually about future, for me, is about capabilities. It's, I know that there's certain visions that in order for me to close the gap between where I am right now and where I want to go, require me to go ahead and step out of my comfort zone, ask for help, look for a coach, start new relationships, get into new environments, that will help me become the type of person that can produce the vision and the goals that I'm setting for the future. Yeah. So, so what are some of those things that you need to do, whether you're, a land investor, do you need to invest in a coach? Do you need to, invest in a program, invest in a software, do strategic investments that are as far as systems, go, or people go, going to really help you multiply your business and scale in 2020, that are going to be, pivotal for you to become, that person that achieves those goals, of whether it be, retiring from a job that you hate, or retiring a spouse, or buying a new car, or buying your second home, or sending your children to private school, or traveling wherever it is that you've been, looking forward to travel, or starting your ministry, or being able to help, friends and family, or take care of your health, or whatever that may be, basically. You want to start thinking in these ways, what capabilities do I need to gain in order for me to produce that vision of multiplication that I'm looking for? And at the end of the day, if you don't get anything out of this episode, do remember this: before we multiply, we have to simplify. And that's why I've spent the first few minutes, or first half of this episode explaining to you a simple exercise that we go through, which is called creating a stop doing list, and where we look at our past, what do we need to clean up, whether it be in relationships, in partnerships, in team, in systems, in processes, of the past, of decluttering my physical space, in order for me to move forward. Then I move to the present. What are some things today that I need to, that I need to delegate in order for me, activities in my calendar, in order for me to have not just the time in my schedule, but also the headspace and the energy and the effort to go after the things that I know I'm amazing at, I have a genius in, and that are part of my genius zone, so that I can become that person, that I want to become in either 2020, or if your vision extends far beyond that, it does, at least for me. I always like looking a decade out. I've trained myself to look first past, a month out, then a quarter out, then a year out, then 3 years out, then 5 years out, then 10 years out, and we've been doing this exercise over and over again, that we've extended our time horizon of, a vision that we create for ourselves. And so I know that in order for me to achieve certain things on a 10-year vision, that there's major cleanups that need to be happening, of my past and present, consistently, that I need to plan to create, moments of reflection, times of reflection, where I can go ahead and prune things off, and repeat this process every quarter. It's planned repetition and repeated planning of sitting down and clearing up space, and having those necessary breakups with either, with either team members that I don't feel are bringing their A game. And this is a hard one, because it's family. It's usually people that I care about, that I know their families, that I have, that share in some way, shape my core values. But for some reason, in spite of, feedback and constant training, we cannot, align ourselves. And so at that point, it's important to ask, would I enthusiastically, hire this person again right now, knowing what I know, and seeing the performance that I'm having? And so sometimes it's hard. It's hard breakups that we have, that we have to make, because sometimes we stay either in partnerships, at home or at work longer than we should, out of habit, out of not wanting to be brave and really take the next step that would make everyone, feel better, because all of a sudden, if it's a team member, that person is going to be liberated to go out there and find and work in an environment and in things that absolutely, align with them, and so on and so forth. So I hope this episode serves you well, that it really gets the ground prepared, moves the soil around and cleans up any of the weeds, so to speak, and helps you then be able to, once you've done all the cleanup, allows you to go ahead and plant your little seeds of the capabilities of the things that you need to invest in yourself, because that's the number one investment, really, in order for us to grow, is an investment in ourselves, a banking in ourselves, whether it be, with coaching, whether it be, by deciding that I'm going to start investing and setting, some money aside in order for me to start either working, on those financial goals, but you'll be able to plant, that little seedling, but you can't just plant it in any space. You have to first, prepare the ground soil, like I said, clean up the bad weeds, and have nice fertile, soil and a fertile ground, a clean slate, in order to be able to move into the new year. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I would love it if you please give me a 5-star review if you're listening to this on iTunes, or however you get your podcasts. Leave me a 5-star review. A written review is even better. It helps me reach many, many more people. And so, or pass it on, to someone, to a friend, to someone that you love, to an important person in your life that needs to hear this as well. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you on the next episode of the InFLOW podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and ready to get inflows of cash, inflows of light, and inflows of faith in your life. I welcome your reviews on iTunes. Please leave me a review and help me create an amazing community of women in flow. Thank you, as always, for sharing your voice by going to michellebosch.com and joining the conversation about this show. And while you're there, grab a copy of my 10 Commandments to Living a Life in Flow. You can also follow me on Facebook at Michelle Bosch and on Instagram at Michelle Bosch Official. Thank you very much, and until the next one.